Good day and welcome back. My name is Michelle Hamilton, manager of the Mary Washington House here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, part of the Washington Heritage Museums. And while we're closed temporarily, I thought I would share you a story based on the colonial era. Now, according to Mary's family, she did read stories to her children, Aesop's Fable, stories from the Bible. So I thought we would share this little lighthearted look on the founding fathers as children. It is called John, Paul, George, and Ben, and it is by Lane Smith. And when we reopen, you can find this title and many more in our wonderful museum store. Once there were 4 lads, George, Paul, George, and Ben. Make that 5 lads. There was always independent Tom, always off doing his own thing. There he is, kind of walking off the page there. John was a bold lad. At the start of every school year, the students were asked to write their names on the chalkboard. And every year it was the same story. John, his teacher would say, "You have lovely penmanship. John, your confidence is refreshing. But John, come on. We don't need to read it from space." Here's John Hancock's signature. Paul was a noisy lad. Before fun was invented, people joined bell ringing clubs. As a member at Boston's Old North Church, Paul spent hours practicing in the belfry tower. There's little John pulling the bells. Over time, that bell ringing took a toll on young Paul. All day, his head was filled with loud bangs and bongs. He had to practically scream just to hear himself talk. Now, that's fine around the belfry, but not at work. There's young Paul, a little disorientated, going to work. Extra large underwear? Sure, we have some. Let's see, large, large, extra large. Here they are, great big extra large underwear. Paul was like a bullhorn in a china shop. Your wig? Yes, it's coming. And your polka dot shirt are coming. And the pink breeches are coming. There's John at work. The customers aren't very happy with him. It took many years and a midnight ride for people to finally appreciate his special talents. The redcoats are coming! So now everyone can hear. Everyone except that big underwear lady. She was still mad. Here she is looking very, very sour. George was an honest lad. One day he took his shiny new hatchet and chopped down his family's cherry tree. When his father discovered the tree, he asked, "Son, do you know who killed this beautiful little cherry tree?" "I cannot tell a lie," answered George. "'Twas I who chopped down this cherry tree." "Then run to my arms, dearest boy," cried his father, "for you have paid me for it 1,000-fold with your honesty." "Really?" said George. "In that case," there's young George in his hatchet. "When I tell you I've taken out the apple orchard, leveled the barn, and made kindling of your carriage, you'll be a wealthy, wealthy man." I don't think Mary would appreciate all the extra carnage. Ben was a clever lad. Not only did he have a saying for every situation, he generously shared them with anyone, anywhere, at any time. Fish and visitors stink after 3 days. There he is, pontificating to his friends. duty to provide frequent free advice. The sleeping fox catches no poultry. Those who in quarrels interpose must often wipe a bloody nose. If your head is lax, don't walk in the sun. 3 can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. Here he is, giving all of his advice to his friends. The townsfolk were so taken by his generosity, they came up with a saying especially for Ben. Please shut your big yap. I think we all know somebody who's a little bit like young Ben. I like it, said Ben. Short and to the point. Work a fox or turkey in there, and I think you've got something. His friends are a little taken aback by that. Now, Tom was an independent lad. One day, his teacher, Mr. Douglas, asked the class to make birdhouses by gluing macaroni to ye old balsa wood. Tom happily ignored him and used traditional building materials in a neoclassical design. I think we've all had somebody in our class who showed off just a little too much, like young Tom here. When the class made a palm tree, Tom took one look at it and said, "Not on your life," then quickly left. There he is, walking out of class, go do his own thing. Very, very nice palm tree, made very fancy. To sketch his own tree. Young Thomas, fumed Teacher Douglas, would you mind explaining to the class why you insist on working so independently? Certainly, said Tom. In fact, I've taken the liberty to list the very reasons. Fear not, sir. I've used small words for the benefit of the dullars. Tom learned the power of his words that day. Mr. Douglas told him to pursue the life, liberty, and happiness he wanted. Independently in the corner. The other students pursued lunch. The rest is history. Say you want a revolution? Well, John, Paul, George, Ben, and Tom sure did. In April of 1775, they got one. The redcoats were coming. In fact, King George III's army was marching to Lexington and Concord to arrest John and other sons of liberty. Fortunately, Paul Revere was a noisy man. After his midnight ride, every minute man, woman, and child knew who was coming and what they'd be wearing. It was the start of the Revolutionary War. And there's Paul. In fact, his house in Boston is a museum that you can visit someday. The Americans needed to formally state their separation from the king. Who better than Thomas Jefferson, an independent man, to write the Declaration of Independence? And there's Tom, and he learned how to convince people with his words. Simply signing such a document was treasonous and dangerous. Ben Franklin, a clever man, said it best. We must all hang together, he quipped, or surely we shall all hang separately. There's Ben. One might think twice about signing his name, not John Hancock, a bold man. He was the first to scribble his autograph, and man, just look at the size of that John Hancock. There he is signing. The story is, he said he wanted to sign it so big that King George III could read it without his reading glasses. The war was won thanks to General Washington. Everyone thought he would make a great king for the new United States of America. But George Washington was an honest man. The last thing we need is another King George, he said. President George, however, has a nice ring to it. And it was George who insisted that he be called Mr. President. Ye old epilogue. George didn't live in the White House like all the other presidents. He was asked to live in New York City, where there aren't so many trees. And there's George not chopping down any more cherry trees. So I hope you enjoyed this story. We're going to do more videos like this, so please follow on the Mary Washington House page on Facebook. And again, if you enjoyed this story, it's available for purchase in our museum store.